McDonald's manager has dirty mind, but it's my fault. Part 3. Then she went back behind the county. That's it. No explanation of what I might have said. So I thought back over the conversation, and then the light bulb came on. I told her it's a teddy bear. She says back it doesn't matter. It's what people heard. So basically, you've got a dirty mind, but it's somehow my fault that your mind went right to the gutter. Write in the comments, what is your story? I tried to help someone get their keys out of their car. One morning, I'm walking my dogs, and I see a woman that's kind of panicking in front of her car. I ask if she's okay, and she says yes. I'm trying to get my keys out of my car. I lock them in. I tell her that sucks, and that I can't help her at the moment because I have my dogs. I wish her the best of luck, and I go on about my business. Once I get done with the dogs, I go out on my patio to water the plants, and there's a guy with a clothes hanger helping the woman out. At this point, I'm free now, so I tell them I don't really know how to help, but I have 2 extra hands if they need it, and they oblige and ask if I could scrape some tools together to help. I agree and grab what I think will be helpful, and go out there and start helping, but I tried to help someone get their keys out of their car. Part 2. The guy that is helping is bitching a lot, so I figured they must be a couple or something. Maybe a new couple where she spent the night, and dude is being a gentleman to try and do what he can to help her. I've been in this exact situation before. So me and the guy are struggling to get the door unlocked with a clothes hanger, and it's just not working. 30 minutes pass. 1 hour passes. Still can't get the door open, and what's a funny story or memory you have about your dad? My brother and I were reminiscing our childhood not too long ago, and came to an agreement that our dad is, and always has been, quite the character. When we were young, he kept airsoft guns next to his recliner, and when we would come into the living room, he would shoot them at us, and we'd have to dive behind furniture to dodge them. Then he would make us pick up all the little bullets, LOL. He also had this little bell next to him, and made it into a game, where when he would ring it, we'd have to get something for him. It took us far too long to realize he was doing it, because he was too lazy to get up himself. Eventually, as we got older, we just started ignoring the bell. I wonder if it's still there. When my cat became a crime scene investigator. So, my cat, Whiskers, has always had a thing for exploring places he shouldn't. You know, the usual cat stuff. Knocking things off tables, opening drawers, sneaking into cupboards, etc. But the other day, he took his detective work to a whole new level. I was in the kitchen, trying to figure out what to make for dinner, when I heard a crash from the living room. I ran in to see, and like and subscribe for Part 2. When my cat became a crime scene investigator. Part 2. I ran in to see Whiskers with his paw stuck in my jar of peanut butter. He'd knocked it off the counter, somehow unscrewed the lid, and was now furiously trying to lick the remnants from his fur. He looked like a cat who'd just caught the world's stickiest mouse. Naturally, I started laughing, and went to get my phone to record this mess, because who doesn't love a cat blooper? But when I came back, Whiskers had already bolted, leaving a trail of peanut butter paw prints across the living room floor. It was like a mini crime scene, tiny evidence leading from the jar to the couch to the bedroom. Like and subscribe for the next part. When my cat became a crime scene investigator. Part 3. I followed the trail, laughing all the way, only to find Whiskers hiding under the bed, licking his paws like nothing happened. He was completely unbothered, as if to say, who, me? I didn't do anything. I spent the next half hour cleaning up peanut butter paw prints while Whiskers lounged on the bed, looking like he had just solved the biggest case of his 9 lives. I swear, he's either a criminal mastermind or just a really clumsy cat with a taste for peanut butter. Either way, he sure knows how to keep things interesting. My life as a little kid was interesting. When I was 2 years old, I wanted water in the middle of the night. So I went to my parents' bedroom while they were manifesting my little brother, so of course the door was locked, so with all of my strength I kicked down the door and asked for water, but they didn't give me water, so I cried. When I was 5 I used to eat a ton of cardboard, so when my mom looked at my feces she thought I had worms, so she took me to the doctor, but turns out, I just had 3 pounds of cardboard in my system. Like and subscribe for Part 2. My life as a little kid was interesting. Part 2. One time my dad's boss had a barbecue at his house, and my brother, who was 4 at the time, fell into the pool and didn't know how to swim, so my mom had to dive in and get him with her dress and makeup on later. After he was saved, he drank around 40 Gatorades and threw up everywhere in the car when we were driving home, and it was literally pooling up, so we had to empty it all out on the side of the road. Saw a customer doing donuts in her electric wheelchair, and it's the best thing I've ever seen. I was at work yesterday, and a customer came in her electric wheelchair, and I was helping her. I immediately noticed there were painted flames on the side of her wheelchair, and I complimented it, and she started cracking jokes about it. She said, "Yeah, I went a little far in the wheelchair part, so I didn't have to do the mile or gym class." I laughed and gave her a high five. She then said how her legs have been asleep for the past 22 years of her life. We started cracking jokes about our own disabilities and laughing. After she left, I went outside to fix the display, and she told me she had a party trick. She cranked her wheelchair to fastest speed doing donuts, and my boss and I collapsed on the ground laughing. We still laugh thinking about it. A kid pretended to be homeless because his mom wouldn't get him a churro. Last December, I visited my fiancée's home country with her and our kids for the holidays. We first went to the city where she was raised, then to the one her family lived in, and then back to the first one. On one of our last days there, we went for a walk on a large, slightly crowded street. According to my fiancé, said street is very popular and has a large homeless population. It's normal to get stopped on the sidewalk by someone asking for money or food. Anyway, we walked past an alley with food trucks, including a churro one. As we were walking, a young boy 6 years old at most approached me and said, "Mister, can you buy me a churro?" I stood there for a second. As I didn't understand what he was saying, my fiancée later translated it to me, and she said, "Like and subscribe for part 2. Wife was accused of cheating on me with me. Years ago my wife and I worked together at a call center where the dress code was very formal. All our coworkers only saw me in dress pants, nice dress shirts, and a tie. Well, the real me outside of work is basically a mix of redneck and biker. I grew up in a biker family, and I wore a ranch hand since I was 10. Well, I took some vacation time off to just relax a bit, and the wife didn't. I decide to ride my Holly to work and take her to lunch. Seems sweet and innocent enough, right? Anyway, I pull up and she sees me on my Holly, runs over, gives me a kiss, hops on the back, and we go off and have a nice lunch. Drop her back off to work, all is right in the world. Couple days later my vacation is over and it's time for me to go back to work, but like and subscribe for part 2. Wife was accused of cheating on me with me part 2. I walk in and I'm getting funny looks when my wife went to her desk and I was putting my drinks in the lunchroom refrigerator. 5 coworkers come up to me and tell me they have something serious I need to know. I knew these 5 people and I refer to them as the gossip group. They all told me my wife is cheating on me with some tattooed biker guy. Immediately I was like, oh boy, here we go. They show me pictures of my wife kissing ... me. I start laughing. They start asking me if I knew or if we were swinger or are we poly. They wanted answers. I pulled out my phone and showed them a picture of my Holly and I asked, is this the bike? They all said yes. I showed them a pic of what I normally wear, black tank top, bandana pulled low over my eyebrows. They were worried I would be pissed, but honestly I found it hilarious and told my wife, who also thought it was hilarious. What is the most absurd moment you experienced? I love absurd humor and I always enjoy reading absurd experiences from other people. I got quite a few as well. For example, when I was selling stocks on stock market, my colleague was calling this old lady. She was certain he was her grandson even though he was telling repeatedly that he wasn't. She was scolding him, asking him why he isn't home yet. This went on for at least 5 minutes before he gave up and agreed to come home and hang up. I couldn't stop laughing. I thought a girl was cute, so I asked her if she liked spinach. A year or 2 back I thought that this girl was really cute. One day I ran into her at a restaurant and went up to talk to her. She greeted me with a smile and said hey. I smiled and said hey back, and that's where SHTF, my brain friend, and I stuttered a few times before I blurted out, hey, you like spinach? She replied with UHM, no, not really, and walked away and never talked to me again. Today's my daughter's birthday, so my litless turned for today, and I got her some cake and some bubbles to celebrate since her party was already this past weekend. While we were on the back patio and ran out of bubbles, she was like, I'll get some more. and bolted, going head first into the Arcadia door, then backwards to the concrete. Then, she just got straight up and walked in like nothing happened, like a fucking champ. Was working the oil fields, and a young 20-something like most of us was on the bus with us, an addition to our crew since we were short. We were known as the Wild Crew, got in trouble a lot, but also got some of the best production, so they didn't say much other than weekly rule reminders. We had a giant speaker in our van someone brought that we would blast music on the way to the pad. The song that sings I'm in love with the Coco came on, and we are all jamming, a party bunch. When it ends, this kid who is from South Africa says loudly, "Yes, I love the Coco. I put it in my milk and cereal every morning." And we had to explain to him it was not the same thing. He was so innocent. It was great. I purposefully act stupid and put myself in situations where others will get mad at me. Grew up in a very emotional, distant household, meaning any emotion that was not overtly happy was bad. You would be either ignored, told to push it down, or sometimes be flatly yelled at, threatened, or hit. This caused me to never know how to properly and healthy feel emotions or gauge when something was worth it. I would take small things, like being respectfully criticized, and take them as a personal attack, blowing them out of proportion. Like and subscribe for part 2. I purposefully act stupid and put myself in situations where others will get mad at me, part 2. Around the age of 14, I realized that this was not an attitude that would help me in the long run, especially considering my goals. The only solution I could think of was to put myself in situations I knew that I would take personally, and then force myself to work through it and learn how to let it bounce off of me. I don't like being perceived as stupid to people in real life, so I would exclusively act like a troll online, was never rude, but certainly acted, speak in ignorant ways or in places it wasn't my place to. I accidentally bought a religious newspaper, and it's the funniest thing. I got the newspaper to clean some windows. I don't know why, but this is the way my mom told me I should do it. So I went to the corner store, and I got a random one thinking that okay, they are old and forgotten, and the lady just keeps them so people get them to clean windows. I looked when it was published, and holy shit, it was only a day old. And I started reading an article thinking it was talking about AI and how it will take our jobs and all that shit, but no, it was blaming AI for Satanism. I thought my mom was going senile. Today, I was on the phone with my mom, as we call each other at least once a week. Anyways, as we were chatting, I hear her go, "What the heck is that?" To which I replied, "What is what?" She said, "There's a giant plane going by my house right now, and it is taking up both sides of the road." Now here I am thinking, oh no, I am going to have to start looking around for group homes. She's lost her mind. The monkey that scared the living soul out of young me. When I was around 5, I was at my granny-grandma holiday house, just me and my sis at that time, my mum and dad, because we were moving countries, and one day little me was thirsty. So I decided to go out of my bedroom and get a glass of milk. I walked through the whole way into the kitchen and opened this fridge, and then I hear a sound like a crash, and 5-year-old me turned around to saw a big old monkey and screamed so loud and ran to my parents' room and told them what just happened. My face red, and I was crying so much, waking up my 2-year-old sister. Then my parents ran to the living and made sounds to scare the monkey away. My sister ate Play-Doh. It's a funny story. When my sister was about 5, she was a bit dumb. Lots of stories I have to share, but this one is about Play-Doh. You see, when we were younger, our mom would sit us down at the table and take out some Play-Doh, and we would play with it for hours. But every now and then, I would look up to see my 5-year-old sister eat the Play-Doh like a 5-star meal. I could honestly never. I would yell to my mom that my sister would be eating the really salty Play-Doh, and she would give me death glances that could kill an elephant. To this day she claims it tasted good, but I don't believe her. A man in my hostel room. I don't know if this is funny, but I want to share it with you, so enjoy. So, I 22F went on a solo trip in Portugal, and because I am a student, I always choose to stay in a hostel. My room was quite small, just for 4 people, and at the end of the day, there were just 3 women, including me, sleeping there. The room had 2 doors, one of them permanently locked and one of them permanently unlocked. We didn't have a key. There was a window next to my bunk bed. I slept on top, and under the window, there was a small bench. Now, the window did not lead out, but to another small room where was just an old mattress. A man in my hostel room, part 2. So, I woke up in the morning to the sounds of the lady under me rummaging through a plastic bag like 10 minutes non-stop, and then she left the room. It was still early, so I closed my eyes and enjoyed my comfy bed. As I was laying here, I heard someone come into the room, so I thought that it was the lady. I opened my eyes when I heard a loud bang as the windows were opened, and there he was. A random guy, standing on the bench, facing towards the window, just in his briefs. And then ... he started to pee outside of the window, on the floor into the next room. I was laying in my bed, my mouth opened, frozen, not able to believe what I see. Then the guy, on top of making noises like he was holding it in for the whole day, he let out a loud fart. After a few long seconds, I came around and started to yell, "What do you think you're doing? This is not a toilet." The guy froze, hunched over to hide his face,